Up early in the morning, hang my head. I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle of a dream. Please don't wake me. That's a rape G. Wait, what the hell happened in? Oh, it was scrolled way the fuck up. So the longest. All right, so we're day 63. We're at what we got here? 482. Of 670 pages. Ugh. And then we're at 60 of 87 chapters. You know, it does dawn on me that if I was working harder on this and had been hitting my 10 pages a day quota, I would be like, what do we want to call it? 4 days out from being done with this project. There's a price to be paid for being a lazy motherfucker. Gotta tell you right there. Alright, what we got? It's an editing stream, which I am doing right now. Let's let everybody know. Let them know. Do your thing. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether to do the other show on Saturday or what the fuck. Hmm. Oh no. I gotta go to reopen, close tab. All right, there we go. So I believe that we're live, but nobody is live yet. Whew. Yeah, kind of a rough night last night, and definitely feeling the burn. All right, come on, eyes, start focusing. You've been awake too long. It's this eye. That's always the problem eye. You know what I mean? It just can't get its act together. But you know, that's how it is. It do be like that sometimes. All right, what we got? Need coffee. Oh, it's Big Tulpa. Yeah, Tulpa. I'm like leaning towards doing the show on a Saturday because I'd like to have a racer up. But if we're gonna have him up, we gotta move a bunch of lighting around and set up a different console, and you know how it be. It do be like that sometimes. I think I can make it happen. But I probably just need like a solid morning of goofing off and playing video games and half-assedly working on it to make it happen there. Well, this is a cool scene. This is Gary, the mind reader, at the Half Moon Diner. So this is Lemon Baby and the Electric Lady. Wait, if I see Spathiwa in the chat, we'll go back and edit the previous chapter and just do a read-through. As he brought up an interesting point. Really, the way that we should be doing this is we would run through and do the entire edit of the chapter, and then we should do another pass. Or we just read through the entire thing. Make sure the whole thing sounds okay. Anti-Guru has to replace a CPU fan today. Well, it takes all of like 5 minutes. You'll be all right. Or do you have to replace hundreds of CPU fans in many different laptops today? Some of that Jesus. All right. Yeah, I might be. There's a small chance. Well, I got the shaky hands. Well, you know, you can still make a go of it, to tell you the truth. Just do some deep breaths before you grab a hold of that fucker. Don't bend them CPU pins. The Xanax kicking in. Oh, yeah. Shout outs to modern rappers. But, yeah, let me see. Oh, there's AAA up in the D Live. Yeah, like, I'm glad that we have D Live happening. Oh, Well, if Spathy comes back, we'll edit chapter 59, but he ain't here. So, this is chapter 60, some Jesus. And it's 4.3, 7:20 a.m., the Half Moon Diner. The Messiah hasn't touched his eggs. It makes everyone anxious. Gary knows. He knows them better than they know themselves. Every man in the bunch wishes they could take him aside, put a hand on his shoulder, and say, "Hey, Gary, what's the matter, buddy?" Yeah, we don't need a period at the end of that because there's already a quotation mark. Now, Gary is like one of the least badass characters in this story. Like, he's super fat, very unwholesome looking, just has like a terrible personality, and he walks with a cane because he just had a heart attack after he got shocked by one of the other characters. He has his only power is that he can read minds, and he's actually like hopped up on that religion, trying to be a better person on account of his near-death experience. So he's even weaker than the other people because I think he actually has, if not a conscience of his own, he's trying really hard to have a conscience. Oh, here, check out, here's the latest configuration of this game that I'm working on here, where we got like some dice and then these cards right here. Big Spathy in the chat right there. All right, so Spathy, since Spathy has arrived, whoa, where am I here? Yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit here. So I wanted to implement Spathy's suggestion here. Just do a read through of chapter 59. I think the right way to do it is to start each day doing a read through of the chapter before it, to like kind of ease into the whole thing. Is that, yeah, it's a 100-sided die. And actually, if you look at Gaze Upon, this Rappasaurus right here, if you look at these, these are 14-sided dice, which correspond to the minor arcana, and this guy right here is a 22-sided die. Look at, it just rolled a big 21. I think we need to be more zoomed in for people to actually be able to view what's happening here in the live stream. But it's a pain, like having a zoomed in camera, not an easy feat from that height. And so I'm gonna fool around with each of these two things. But all right, here we go. So this is chapter 59. This is a chapter before that, leading up to the diner, running clean. So chapter 59, Lemon Maybe and the Electric Lady by Zak Zyz, running clean, 4.2, 6:36 a.m., West 4th Street. It's Jesus, man. Jesus came back. He out here feeding everyone, fixing everybody. Makes you say he can touch somebody with the bug and they ain't got it no more. What he would say here, oh, I'm on the wrong screen. What he would say here is, he would say, touch a nigga with the bug. Makes you say he can touch, it's Jesus, man. Jesus came back. He out here feeding everybody. Fixing it. He out here feeding everyone. He out here feeding us. Fixing everybody. Makes you say he can touch somebody. Damn. I did not consider dice as a base for deck randomization. I know, right? Because you shuffle the cards. But it's a... I think you use the dice for like stack checks because the stats are the minor arcana, right? If we look at this guy right here, like maybe somebody's initial stats would all be 3s and they start at level 0, which is the Fool, right? Then Actually, since we're up in it, so here's my idea for the game, right? So somebody has stats, like swords would correspond to divisiveness, ability to like fight, agility, etc. Clubs would, or wands would correspond to, you know, magic and mental feats and intelligence and that kind of shit. Cups or hearts would correspond to emotional wherewithal, you know, wisdom, that kind of jazz. And then diamonds would be general hardiness and ability to take a beating and levels of equipment and wealth and that kind of jazz. Then, so each room of the Rapasaurus is a 3-card draw from this Thoth deck, from those 3 big decks that are up at the top of this field right there. Then my idea is that at the beginning of the adventure, the player gets to choose their particular deck. This one is like the what is it? It's the Grand Italia. I need to figure out how to pronounce each of these. So each of the encounters, 3 cards are drawn, and then we offer the player, like, all right, you know, pick a hand right there. And if they pick white, no, they get to go first. And if they get black, I go first. And then each of us picks one of the cards to interpret towards the resolution, and then the final one is what the resolution is based on those 2 outcomes. And it's sort of a collaborative storytelling game, and then with some like statistics or hit points or something like that determined by like your health pool or some jazz like that. Maybe I'll get a bunch of these red coins there. But yeah, basically, and then if you encounter some kind of check or something like that, you determine what type of check it is, which are the 4 attributes it corresponds to. And then you just roll, like, say that it was, I think red will be clubs. It'll just be like, all right, you need to roll this guy, and 10 is higher than your clubs, so you failed the check. You know what I'm saying? Which is like one of the most basic RPG elements, like a checking against attributes for matters of difficulty. For something that's like fucking, I'd say you got about a 22% chance to stay alive as you're trying to rip the dick off of that graven idol. Well, it looks like 39% you did not rip off its dick successfully. So, really, I see the live stream version of it as kind of like a narrative storytelling type game that frequently where I'd like pop in and you know, do whatever there, and it's meant to take like maybe like an hour to run through a session. Maybe like if you die quick, it's like 30 minutes or something like that. And the idea being that you would have just multiple people run through at a time. Now that doesn't correspond to like a card game or anything like that. If we had like an iPad version of like the rule set, it would be a lot easier to do like actual card-based combat the way that they have in Dream Quest. So that's something that I'm thinking about right there. I don't know how appealing the idea of like a 2-player interpretive RPG will really be with randos on Discord. But yeah, I'm going to try and just get a few people, record some demo sessions so people can see what it's all about, and see if that's like a viable thing. It's meant to be kind of in the vein of like a Fiasco or something like that. But let's read this chapter. It's Jesus, man. Jesus came back. He's out here feeding. He out here feeding everyone. Fixing everybody. Macy say he can touch somebody with the bug and they ain't got it no more. Theodore say he talked to this man 5 minutes. Man know everything about him. That boy know everything. Yeah, it's fucked up because I'm giving him like this New Orleans accent. But why's it got a New Orleans accent up in New York there? It's Jesus, man. Jesus came back. He out here feeding everybody. He out here feeding everybody. Fixing people. Macy say he can touch somebody with the bug and they ain't got it no more. Theodore say he talked to this man 5 minutes. Man know everything about him. Shit nobody knows. Man knows everything about him. Shit nobody knows. Said he never want to gear up again after that. Lawrence says Rusty holds up a scarred and filthy hand. He's in no mood for Tombo's bullshit. You know that means he's a cop, right? This is all some fucking Jim Jones plot to exterminate us. Watch, they're gonna try and get you on a train and ship you to some camp. You know FEMA camp, fool. Too many people seen this guy. He got disciples, too. You know Crazy Terry? He come clean. Fucking miracle right there. The meth queen running clean. Bullshit. That fucker Terry belongs in a cell. Remember how he kicked Larry Bailey half dead over a fucking Big Mac? You gotta be a real piece of shit to draw flies like Terry. Hell yeah. No, man, he changed. Everybody changed. This guy's the real deal. Come talk with him. Come talk to him with me. He buys everybody breakfast. Tombo is pleading. He doesn't want to go alone. Probably... it's probably full of saltpeter like the goddamn Krishnas. I ever tell... Okay, so we need... Yeah, it's probably full of saltpeter like the goddamn Krishnas. I ever tell you about the time that shit happened to me in New Orleans? Couldn't get it up for a goddamn month. Right before Mardi Gras. Before he can launch into the woeful tale of his malfunctioning dick. Rusty's mouth claps shut, so when we read it. Right before Mardi Gras. Before he can launch into the woeful tale of his malfunctioning dick. Rusty's mouth claps shut. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be like that. Yes, Bethy. And so, here, like, while we have you in the chat, and just in the terms of, like, the game that we play, rather than having a resolution where, the player and the GM or whatever are interpreting, like, the actions of the player character through these cards, you would just, like, have combat resolution where you've got, like, one of these, here's a deck that's prepared, and, boom, boom, boom. Oh, got a fool, which would be like a wild card. So, like, maybe you draw initially 3 cards and either do a mechanic where you choose which one of them to deploy in the situation, or where they add up, like Dream Quest, like your fucking diamonds could be shields and your clubs could be magic damage, and then the fool, that would be like an ability card. That's the card that the guy would start with there, and we just work out each one of those, and then the opponent also, like, they just take turns back and forth. The opponent would also have a deck, and then work it out, just like we're ripping off Dream Quest, which is my game plan. Believe that. Yeah, that duplicate sentence does need to be cuffed, I'm well aware. But this is why we do the reread. Which would we like better? Right before Mardi Gras. Before he can launch into the woeful tale of his malfunctioning dick, Rusty's mouth claps shut. Or, Rusty stops mid-sentence before he can launch... Oh yeah, the mouth clapping shut is much more active. $100 bill is fluttering in midair right before his eyes. Another appears in front of Tombo. Rusty and Tombo stare at the money. Then their eyes meet. Neither speaks, but they're both thinking the same thing. Are you seeing this shit? Hell yeah. Where's that guy you're talking about? The kid's voice pops out of nowhere. Oh, it would be Maybe's voice there. Where's that guy you're talking about? The kid's voice pops out of nowhere, and their assholes clap shut and sink. Clamp shut and sink. I don't know that we can get away with that line. Whatever. It's not a good mental picture. Holy Christ, it's an angel. Holy Mother of God, fuck. I mean, fuck. I'm sorry, fuck. Rusty, fuck the Pope Wachowski, is genuflecting for the first time in 30 years. Tombo's eyes are about to pop. I'm real. Here. Maybe presses the money into their hands. Don't spend this on booze or drugs. I'll know if you do, and I'll never hook you up again. Ooh, we should have been doing this, this second pass shit the entire fucking time. Ugh. That's really how books get edited, by the way. Pass after pass. It's like 7 passes before something's ready for print. It didn't used to be me doing the passes. Ugh. And then next chapter. So here we would have like some kind of you know that weird 60s flashback song where it's like they're playing a zither or something like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. So when I do the audiobook, I'll insert that. I think that's funny as fuck. Maybe he's been doling out dollars all morning. Until now, he's done it secretly. Oh, we can't call them characters because it's a story. I would call them characters. Until they run into this pair of characters. Yeah, fucking. Yeah, let's just let's cut that line. Maybe he's been doling out dollars all morning. It started on 7th Avenue. Maybe he was caught behind a... It started on 7th Avenue. Foot traffic kept backing up behind a harried-looking woman pushing a double stroller. One of the wheels kept locking up. Each time she would stop, sigh, and bend over to knock the wheel back in line. From her clothes and her characters find individuals. If we had kept that line, find individuals would have, or we maybe like upstanding individuals. Yeah, maybe we can call them an upstanding pair at some point later. But I think cutting it was the right choice there. One of the wheels kept locking up. Each time she would stop, sigh, and bend over to knock the wheel back in line. The wheel locked up for a third time and both babies started crying. The woman looked like she was about to join them. Maybe he couldn't stand it anymore. He slipped $500 into her purse. He slipped $500 into her purse while she knelt and cursed at the wayward wheel. It felt right. I like wayward wheel right there. It's fucking wilding out. Not long after, Maybe came across a kid his own age peering in the window of a guitar store. Not long after that, Maybe happened across a kid his own age peering in the window of a guitar store. In 2006, would that guy be wearing jeans? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're just gonna So the reason why, yesterday we were kind of like agonizing, like should we make her a girl or whatever. I think it does track with his character. Like his character is very willing to put his hands on like a strange woman that he has like no right to lay hands on. There, we can find it in like the very first Sarah chapter where he like tries to cop a feel on her while she's passed out and gets fucking shocked. And the like fact that so it's in keeping with his character. He's a real Weinstein of the invisible pantheon there. But also the other part about this is that just the way that where we put maybe at the front there, we eliminate some pronoun confusion. Because if it's a guy, the other part is as a 14-year-old boy, I don't know that he slips money into another dude's pocket, you know? That really leads him into a different direction than I had foreseen for that character. So okay. Let's try this. Not long after that, maybe happened across a blonde girl around his age who was peering longingly and. Ooh, maybe happened across a blonde girl. Ooh, yeah. I like that a little bit better. God, I like how with each little pass at this, we make maybe slightly creepier. It's like we're carving off shreds of clay and revealing the 14-year-old boy beneath. Love it. Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like where not long after that, maybe happened across a blonde girl near his age. She stopped at the window of a guitar store. Yeah, I like piano black a little bit. I just like the term piano black. I use it a bunch in Gravid. Maybe he spent a long time staring at her. Finally, she shook her head and sighed. She walked off, chiding herself under her breath, unaware that $500 had found their way into the front pocket of her jeans. Yeah, that's how maybe do. Um, yeah, it was a. Yeah, that's better. To him, maybe he's the same as everyone else. After his success with the mother and the guitarist, maybe put $500 in the cop. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so after his success with the mother and the guitarist, maybe tried to sneak $500 into the cup of a blind guy with a cardboard sign. Feeling pretty good after his success with the mother and the guitarist, maybe spotted a blind guy with a white cane and a cardboard, "Anything helps. God bless." Yeah, and a cardboard sign that said, "Anything helps. God bless." Nope. Whew, really working hard on this rewrite. To him, there was no difference between maybe and anyone else. Okay, boom. So that's our transition to maybe POV there. He's on a mission. Oh, we're doing it. We're doing it. He's on a mission from God. I love it. I shouldn't, but I'm doing it. Fuck the police. We're doing it. At this rate, he'll need to hit another bank soon. At this rate, maybe we'll need to hit another bank soon. At this rate, maybe he's going to need to hit another bank soon. He was just thinking about making another withdrawal when he overheard Tombo and Rusty talking about the diner Messiah. Now that he's paid them off, he starts asking questions. Where can I find that guy you were talking about? Maybe he's already used to that. They, breakfast at, Half Moon Diner. Tombo looks dazed. He hasn't blinked once since the $100 bills appeared. Thanks, maybe chirps. I'm sorry, Rusty bursts out. Oh, did our YouTube test. Y'all alive out there in YouTube land? Holler if you heard me. Thanks, maybe chirps, about to saunter off. I'm sorry, Rusty bursts out. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't help her. I said I would. I'm sorry. Rusty breaks down, bawling his eyes out. Tombo lends him a shoulder. This can't be the first time this has happened. Rusty's breath is coming in big, snuffly sounds. Maybe he takes a step back, wondering what he's supposed to say to this guy. Yeah, oh, we're rewriting. We're not rewriting, though. Oh, we were totally rewriting the whole fucking thing. It needed to happen, though. There are big improvements in Amish right here. Rusty stops scrubbing his eyes, leaving tear smears in the grime. Just like that? Rusty asks. He's not relieved. He's incredulous. A glistening stream of snot is working through the scraggly forest of hair on his upper lip. You're forgiven if you start doing good, make amends, get a job or something. I don't know, maybe trails. He's terrible at being an angel. Rusty's mind isn't eased. He looks sort of pissed. Get a job? Get a fucking job? You don't have to be a mind reader to see him choking back the 10,000 replies every bum has stored up against that phrase. Instead, he blows his nose on the crusty sleeve of his coat. Tombo's mouth opens and shuts, doing a pretty good goldfish impression. Finally, he gets some words out. How about me? Am I forgiven? What did you do? Maybe asks. Not too much of anything? Ever? Sure, why not? Try and, help people. Tombo's eyebrows raise. He pulls the $100 bill out of his pocket and flips it over, checking to make sure the other side isn't some disappointed? You wouldn't be if you had Christ in your life type shit. Checking to make sure the other side isn't some bogus church shit. Disappointed? You wouldn't be if you had Christ in your life. Tombo's eyebrows raise. He pulls the 100 out of his pocket and flips it over, checking to make sure the bill isn't some bullshit church phony. Disappointed? You wouldn't be if you had Christ in your life. Maybe he shakes his head at the pair. Okay, be good, he says. Wait a second, Rusty cries. Maybe doesn't. He abandons the ingrates and heads westward, wondering about Diner Jesus. If this guy is the real deal. If he's the real deal, he might be able to make maybe visible again. Then maybe starts to wonder if he even wants that. If it's actually Jesus, he'd know about all the bad shit maybe he's done. He might smite him on the spot, Jesus might smite him on the spot, turn maybe into a pillar of salt as a warning to all would-be fraudulent angel murderer rapists. But it might be guys that... I wonder if Genesis is hyphenated. I think it's italicized. Yeah, our books of the Bible italicized. Okay. The Bible, books within it, versions of it, and other sacred writings are exceptions to the rule. These are books you do not italicize or underline. New Testament, not New Testament. Quran, not Quran. Okay. Inside the paper, when quoting directly from the Bible, offer parenthetical citations, not author and page. God, 2037, 2307. But book, chapter, and verse. Genesis 2:4. Okay. LOL. Just citing God. Hell yeah. Loving it. Shout outs to MLA Format for citing the Bible. It seems kind of horseshit that just because something's a holy book, it doesn't get italicized. But yeah, references the direct word of God. FYI. All right, let me know. Hold on. Has Eraser said some shit yet? It's hard to holler at that guy. Oh wait, did Beowulf get J-Wared? Beowulf is always linking some very suspect type shit. I gotta say. I would not be astonished if he were to get J-Wared. But it would still be a huge loss for all mankind. He's trying to holler at me. Yeah, I keep getting Discord friend requests from people with like no mutual server. I just ignore all of them. I don't know who you people are, but I'm never gonna respond to your whole shit. He's only made it through Genesis. He's only made it through Genesis. The Bible's a real slog. Like, they only made it through Genesis. What a lazy ass kid. Thinking about the Bible makes him feel shitty again. The thought makes him feel shitty again. So he crosses the street, looking both ways, then slips $100 into an old lady's coat pocket. It doesn't pay for what he's done, but it's something. If he keeps this up, keeps trying to be good, he might start to trust himself enough to see her again. Yeah, let's... If maybe he keeps this up, he might trust himself to... If maybe he keeps this up, he might eventually trust himself enough to see her again. Like that. That's a good note. That's better. Okay, so some Jesus. This is 4.3, 7:20 a.m. at the Half Moon Diner. So the sun is up. The Messiah hasn't touched his eggs. It makes everyone anxious. Gary knows. Gary knows it makes everyone anxious. He knows them better than they know themselves. Every man in the bunch wishes he could... Every man in the bunch wishes he could let's call them a flock. Every man here wishes he could take Gary aside, put a hand on his shoulder, and say, "Hey, Gary, what's the matter, buddy?" I'm late. She starts to go on and on about how Lucifer appeared to her in a three-piece suit on Delancey Street. Oh, what's the name of that mayor? Can we remember? All right, who can remember? It was like a real Jewish name. It was like Scheinbein or Goldschlager, or wasn't Fines, because that's a different. We gotta go all the way back, don't we? 60. So we're at 483. There we go. That's Command Shift. And then fine. No. There we go. And then find Mayor. Mayor Mizrahi. Okay. And then we can probably just... How many instances of Mayor are there? There we go. In her rambling, disjointed narrative, she's trying to warn... demanding that she kill Mayor Mizrahi. All right. Let's give this bag lady a name. Mm-hmm. You can call her Hillary. You could call her Nancy. God. Yeah, let's try and find a name that isn't any of our friends to use here. Schizophrenic bag lady. Let's find it. Jesus. Yeah, write me some names. Penelope, Holly, Hannah, Irene. I kind of like Irene. Yasmin. I wonder if we can just refresh to get another. Oh God. Fucking. Oh, let's do Paige. In a rambling and disjointed narrative, she tries to warn them that Satan has escaped from hell. She claims the devil is on Delancey Street in a three-piece suit, and that he ordered her to kill Mayor Mizrahi. Gary nods along with Paige. She actually believes what she's saying. He doesn't know how to work on people who are that crazy. Gary can't fix her. She actually believes what she's saying, and he hasn't figured out how to work on people who are that crazy. He has an unkind wish that she'd just disappear. Hold on just a second. Oh, that's absolutely true, Smithy. It's kind of why we cut it, because it stuck out. And it's also better if we just focus on her, rather than trying to convey additional information in that piece. Meanwhile, she's making everyone uncomfortable. Gary has an unkind wish that she would just disappear. Mm-hmm. It's almost uncanny. I just want Yeah, the mind reader getting mind readed. And really, Terry is just like, Gary is like his idol at this point. So he's just, all he thinks about is fucking Gary. He's like hyper fixated on him. The ultimate stan. I like that because this is 2000. Oh, wait, when did. I think Stan was released. There were no Stans back then because the song hadn't come out. When did this release? Wait, 2004? No, it came out in 2000. Oh wow, yeah. So there might have been Stans. Um, a portmanteau of stalker and fan. Oh, yeah, it's such a great word for super fans. Oh, I like that as a verb too. Like you can stand somebody. Whoa. Mm. Fucking love that. This is why I had so much fun with Gravit. I love like the fucking and maybe I should just write a book that's like full omniscient POV. It is so fun to be able to do their reactions and so forth. But I've always found telepathy to be like a really neat. Like even when I was like reading X-Men, I was always like, wow, this Jean Grey, what a fox. And like Professor X and shit like that. It's just like a neat concept to be able to read somebody's fucking mind. Um, and it's definitely been on my mind recently, as of just watching like all these people just getting fucking dragged over the coals for their opinions and tweets that they said like years and years ago. And we'll get to a point where like essentially we're hooked up to computers to the point where you can literally read somebody's thoughts like 24/7. You can know what they think, what they truly believe all the time. And Jesus, HQ Christ, what a time that's going to be. Not looking forward to that one. I don't think anybody should be looking forward to that. That just seems astoundingly horrific to yours truly. But we're going to get there. That's the path that we're on. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that we reworked her a little bit where she's able to extract this promise from him by virtue of being utterly insane that he'll try and fight the devil. That's pretty legit. Uh, and of course, like as the reader, we understand she's talking about Duchance. Like there's an expectation in the reader's mind that in fact he will fight against Duchance at some point, and that he will face the devil, which is a gangster chance. God, this D100 is so utterly insane. Like who forged this thing right here? It's pretty ridiculous, to tell you the truth. What do we got? What are we at? We're at a solid 13. Looks like. Ooh, that might be the devil himself up in that die. I like that we can just generate. And I've got a bunch of 10-sided dice over here, too. So literally anytime we want, we can just generate a random-ass number for the story. I don't know how random this is all going to be, but... On his plate, a tsunami of rubbery orange cheese is sweeping along a greasy ruin of mushrooms and green peppers. Somewhere under the chunks of ham and onion rubble, a little girl with a blackened arm is screaming. I think we gotta take out Tabasco blood. There's not a place to fit it in there. On his plate, a tsunami of rubbery orange cheese is sweeping along a greasy ruin of mushrooms and green peppers. Somewhere under the... Somewhere under the ham and onion rubble, a little girl with a blackened arm is screaming. The whole breakfast is a disaster. Gary hates mushrooms. He doesn't even know why he ordered this. But he can't keep staring at it. People are getting more and more anxious. They're all waiting to hear what happened yesterday. So, I was able to save some people at the Port Authority. So, I was able to save some people, Gary says at last, pushing his plate away. I saved some, but we lost a lot more. It hurts. It hurts bad. It takes him only a second to realize he fucked up. For once, Gary is speaking without artifice. He's not trying to manipulate the people around him. This is just something he needs to say, something he can't hold inside him any longer. A moment later, he realizes he fucked up bad. Nah. Gary just fucked up. This is something he needs to say, something he can't hold inside himself any longer. I can't believe I didn't spell it omelette. Oh, God, how many times did I do that in Gravid? This is a Gravid scene now. Didn't realize yesterday. Speaking of Gravid, like, good luck to our homegirl Akiva. Ugh. I gotta keep it low key in the other channel because I just realized, like, as soon as somebody picks it up, some asshole is gonna be like, "Did you know?" You know, like, you can't trust those fucking... I shouldn't have said anything at all to anybody if I was smart. Because some nerd is gonna spoil the whole fucking arrangement. Well, hopefully I can have a contract signed by the time that happens. It would be under false pretenses. Although, the nice thing is that maybe I can get them to edit it before they cancel the whole deal. Yeah, our thoughts and prayers for Akiva. She's really struggling hard in that very religious household. You shouldn't have done that. They all care about him. No one is so far gone that it doesn't stir their own hearts. Scabbed over wounds are cracking open. Dozens of scabbed over wounds are cracking open. Gary's pain triggers theirs. Triggered by Gary's suffering. For the 100th time, he sees the red face of Robeson's daughter. The blue... Why can I never spell asphyxiated right? Asphyxiated. With a Y? Okay. For the 100th time, Gary sees the screaming red face of Robeson's daughter, the blue asphyxiated one. The blue asphyxiated skin of Terry's dead lover. For the 100th time, Gary sees the screaming red face of Robeson's daughter, the blue asphyxiated skin of Terry's dead lover. If it were just them he could handle. Gary knows these. He can handle them. But there are more. Too many more. All the new people brought their wounds. New hurts Gary isn't ready for. Whew. This paragraph is gonna take a hot second to work on here. All right, let's gaze at this for a second, and let me walk around the room. I'll be right back. Whoa-ho! What we got? Shout outs to getting an email. Microsoft just updated my computer and now it uses Bing instead of Google. How can I change this? Yeah, if you're watching, just Google how to reset default search engine in whatever browser you want. I'll reply to that email later. LOL. But yeah, they did that bullshit to me also. They installed their Edge browser and a bunch of other horse shit. Fucking Microsoft. But we shall persevere. I'm not going to let Billy Gates control my computer machine. Oh shit, I forgot we had a reference to Kevin Clark in here. Glad that we got to use Polluck all over the wall. howling child screaming for his mother as two policemen haul him away. A ragged voice from the kitchen screaming, "Get the knife." A loud whisper in the chlorine air. Someone drowned. All over the tiles they just regrouted a month ago. Boom. I like that, regrouted. Hell yeah. So, should this paragraph... Originally, this paragraph was in italics. I think entire paragraphs in italics are pretty hard to read. Yeah, okay, that works. That works way better. Everyone brought something to show and tell. Overwhelmed, Gary puts his hands over his eyes. Shopping through this bullshit. Ugh. Fucking pages, man. I think we use turn up the gain somewhere else. I wonder if we should change this to feet. You can hear the annoyance of the waiter peering at them through the order window 10 yards away. 20 yards away, a delivery man is furiously masturbating in the bathroom. 30 yards above them in an apartment. Okay, and then here we have to do a POV shift once more because we're going to maybe POV. And I'm really happy that we've started doing like I'm this works for me here. That's actually like a really smart thing to do, the like rolled up napkin thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, here, let me fix this. This ragged entourage is looking at each other. No one knows what to do. Some Jesus maybe says. He didn't mean to say it aloud, but his disappointment was too much to contain. So we want that to be like smirks. God, fucking. I kind of want it like bitches. Gripe is not quite right. Carps. Kvetches, yops. Oh, holy shit. I'm doing it. I like it too because yop is like more of an ejaculatory phrase. Some Jesus maybe yops. He didn't mean to say it aloud, but his disappointment was too much to contain. No, we can't do that. I think we use say la vie elsewhere. Cent needs to be capital. Maybe needs to be capital. I'm gonna give you. Oh, what's the point? Did you have an edit earlier, Spathy? I feel like we didn't get you somewhere. All right. What time is it? 8:35. We got time to read through this chapter again. Yeah, let's go. It's a pretty short chapter, and I think if we're doing just a short chapter a day, we should. Maybe he isn't impressed. He tried all kinds of stuff. Maybe he isn't impressed. Gary couldn't see him, not even when Maybe waved his hand in front of the guy's face while he was staring at that shitty omelet. I like that we're just dissing on this omelet. Something, anything. This guy is just another scam artist. This guy's a scam artist. He doesn't seem to do anything special other than attract bums. Epilepsy isn't a superpower. Maybe shrugs, swiping a handful of mints from the counter on his way out the door. She don't mind propane? What the fuck is that? Oh god. So that's a Matthew chapter coming up next. I don't care about points today. Let's just get some fucking points, man. But yeah, if we missed, okay, so it shouldn't take too long to do another pass of chapter 60 right here. So let's work it out. The Messiah hasn't touched his eggs. Gary knows it makes everyone anxious. He knows them better than they know themselves. Every man here wishes he could take Gary aside, put a hand on his shoulder, and say, "Hey, Gary, what's the matter, buddy?" The S should be lowercase. Every second, Gary remains silent. Every second, Gary remains silent, peering hopelessly into his Denver omelet. The collective discomfort ratchets another crank. That's a hell of a sentence right there. I like the sentence, honestly, but it's like, what the fuck? Every sentence, every sentence. Every second, Gary remains silent, peering hopelessly into his Denver omelet. The collective discomfort ratchets another crank. Gary feels it all. None of his men dare to speak. Okay, cool. Better. A newcomer breaks the silence. A schizophrenic bag lady named Paige has risen to her feet to address. A newcomer breaks the silence. A schizophrenic bag lady named Paige rises to her feet and addresses the flock. In her rambling and disjointed narrative, she tries to warn Gary that Satan has escaped from hell. Hell is capital. You think it should be ratchets up. Ratchets up another crank. I think another crank is too much. Let's try it. Every second, Gary remains silent, peering hopelessly into his Denver omelet. The collective discomfort ratchets up another crank. None of his men dare to speak. All right, yeah, let's go with that. A newcomer breaks the silence. A schizophrenic bag lady named Paige. Hold on. Yeah, turn. Fucking. Well, we just got to do this once, and then we don't have to do it again. Turn down for what? You might have been able to. No, you actually don't have that. Okay. Up a volume. There we go. Turn down for what? Oh shit! I should have. If I were smart. Here, if we're just doing this once, then let's do it right. So if I were smart, I would have had show volume and menu bar there. That's what we need. Turn down for what?
Schizophrenic.
Schizophrenic. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like the crank part of it there, but that's just like a hell of a fucking sentence right there. It should really be broken up. There's the peering hopelessly into his Denver omelet. No, honestly, like I'm working through a few ways that we could restate that, and like just stick with this right there, because like every second, Gary remains silently peering hopelessly into his. Yeah, that's just fine. This morning he tried to hypnotize Paige and force her to kill Mayor Mizrahi. The devil has been sauntering down Delancey Street all morning in a three-piece suit. He tried to hypnotize Paige and force her to kill Mayor Mizrahi. Gary nods along with Paige. Everyone feels sorry for her. She's not one of their crowd. She just wandered in off the street. Gary doesn't know how to fix her. Gary can't fix her. You can feel that Paige absolutely believes what she's saying. He has no clue how to help someone that crazy. Meanwhile, she's making everyone uncomfortable. Gary has an unkind wish she would just disappear. 2 sentences. Every second, Gary broods silently over his Denver omelet. Thank you for all the extra E's and omelet. God. Ugh. Terry notices. In the past couple days, he's become uncannily good at guessing what Gary wants. Terry talks to Paige in a soft voice, promising to get her something to eat. She wants to scream. The brush-off makes her want to scream. Gary winces in anticipation. She walked halfway across the city to warn Gary. It's vital that she make him understand the danger. But her mind is a constant car crash of intrusive thoughts and jagged paranoid edges. Crumpled hopes and jagged edges. She's afraid. She's afraid all the time. It took all of her courage to come in here. I understand, Gary says, meeting her darting eyes. We'll try and stop him. The promise explodes in her head like fireworks. She lets herself be led away. Gary was trying so hard not to do that. Gary tried so hard not to do that, but the switch has been thrown. Now he's stuck with her. Yeah, omelette isn't wrong, by the way. Yeah, it's just very French. But the real humor is that I just couldn't fucking spell it after like 20 attempts. Woof. Woof. Alright, I keep checking for fucking eraser. But, yeah, like he's just on for like 2 seconds each day. And by the time I catch up with him, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Let me just make sure that he didn't message another one. I've got his phone number somewhere. I can just fucking text. Yeah, I'll just text him. And be like, yo, nigga, macro killer. That is how white dudes talk to each other all the time, by the way. I just, you know, like, believe it or not, we're all secretly racist and calling each other the N-word nonstop. It happens, man. I guarantee it. All right. Now he's stuck with her. On his plate, a tsunami of rubbery orange cheese is sweeping along a greasy ruin of mushrooms and green peppers. Somewhere under the ham and onion rubble, a little girl with a blackened arm is screaming. The whole breakfast is a disaster. Gary hates mushrooms. He doesn't even know why he ordered the omelet. But he can't escape. But he can't stop staring at it. People are getting more and more anxious. They're all waiting to hear what happened yesterday. So, I was able to save some people, Gary says at last, pushing his untouched plate away. I saved some, but we lost a lot more. It hurts. It hurts bad. For once, Gary is speaking without artifice. For once, Gary is speaking without artifice, not trying to manipulate the people around him. This is something he needs to say, something he can't hold inside of him any longer. He shouldn't have done that. Everyone can hear the pain in his voice. They all care about him. No one is so far gone that it doesn't stir their own hearts. Dozens of scabbed over wounds are simultaneously cracking open, triggered by Gary's suffering. Make sure that we don't use triggered a few different times. For the 100th time, Gary sees the screaming red face of Robeson's daughter, the blue asphyxiated skin of Terry's dead lover. Gary knows these... Gary knows these hurts well. He can handle them. But there are more. Too many more. All these new people brought their wounds, new traumas Gary isn't ready for. He hasn't. They all crash into him at once. A howling child screaming for his mother as two policemen haul him away. A ragged voice from the kitchen screaming, "Get the knife!" A crowd of people in bathing suits going silent. The pool clearing, a loud whisper in the chlorine air. Somebody drowned. Coming home to a too-still apartment, the smell of gunpowder, his boyfriend's yeah. Smell of gunpowder, the note on the coffee table. His boyfriend's brains pollocked all over the tiles they just regrouted a month ago. Much better. Much, much better. Everyone brought something to show and tell. Overwhelmed, Gary puts his hand... Gary puts his hands over his eyes and tries to black it all out, but he can't. They've broken something in him. It's Port Authority all over again. The bottom has fallen out and everything is collapsing. Get him some air, someone shouts. They're surrounding him, laying him on the floor and ripping open his shirt. His own thoughts are growing dull and distant. At the periphery of his power, new voices begin to roar. Oh, what was the name of was it Lawrence? "20 yards away, a Cisco delivery man is furiously it's actually... Yeah, Cisco is the food distributor. Cisco-isco. Yeah. Yeah, it's this huge food delivery, whatever type thinger. What did he drink that made him seasick? In the apartment above them, a man is clinging to his toilet, seasick from red wine. It's a... Oh, I like this. Seasick from scotch. It's more than any human can bear. Flashes of white light shatter the web of souls. Lightning flares across his vision and he begins to convulse. He remembers the feeling of her hand clapping onto his wrist, and then nothing. Okay, and that is, again, where Gary was like really affected by getting zapped by Sarah. Like that should change his life in a big way. So just before he loses consciousness, he goes back into him. All right, much better with that little edit there. And then maybe climbs onto an empty chair so he can see over the mob of bums. Gary is having a seizure. His head rocks violently back and forth, flicking drool out of his wide open mouth. Someone... Then Terry wedges a rolled-up napkin between Gary's teeth, between his teeth, so he can't bite his tongue off. Then Terry wedges a rolled-up napkin between Gary's teeth, so he can't bite his tongue off. The ragged entourage falls silent. Everyone is looking around. No one knows what to do. Some Jesus, maybe yops. He didn't mean to say it aloud, but his disappointment was too much to contain. He claps his hand over his mouth and everyone is looking up. How the fuck would somebody... I have no idea why they did this. Shout outs to Jira. Sorry I'm late. You can start now. How's it been going? It's going pretty good. We're just doing a final read-through of the chapter using the new meta. Some Jesus, maybe yops. He didn't mean to say it aloud, but his disappointment was too much to contain. He claps his hand over his mouth and everyone is looking up, wondering who said that. Who's gonna pick up the check? Maybe he isn't impressed. Gary couldn't see him, not even when maybe... Maybe so disappointed, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's such a confusing sentence with pronouns. Gary couldn't see maybe at all. Maybe even waved his hand in front of the guy's face while he was staring at that chili omelet. Nothing. All morning long he's been waiting for Diner Jesus to reveal his power. To rise up and declare there's a demon in their midst. To call down thunder and lightning to smite him, heal him, something, anything. But this guy's a scam artist. He doesn't seem to do anything special other than attract bums. Epilepsy isn't a superpower. Maybe shrugs. He hops off the chair, swiping a handful of mints from the counter on his way out the door. Boom. That's a good chapter. A lot of shit going on right there. All right, so we're on to chapter 61 here. I agree 100% with Spathiwa's suggestion. He had to go do a thing. But the suggestion of doing like a second pass the day of, that seems to work pretty well. Some days we may want to put it off till the morning after. But yeah, I think much improved by that second rotation right there. So shout outs to Jira and Spathiwa. That's the other show. I don't know. Spathi, did you have any other questions about this idea? I think I'm going to try and change the, yeah, what I'll probably do is shift the blocking a little bit about where these cameras are and try to fit it in frame a little bit differently. But yeah, the basic idea is that sort of the seed of each room is those three cards. It'll be something like the first card is the environment, the second card is the threat, and the third card is the mutator. Or probably mutator, environment, threat is how I'll tend to do it. And I've got like you've seen some of the spreadsheets, but there's some of the spreadsheets where it like maps different kinds of threats to each of the cards in the major and minor arcana. Although I'm not sure if I shared any of those spreadsheets with you, but it's something that I need to work on there. And then basically these three cards at the bottom give three different paths that the person can work on. And basically, like I'll just take one of those paths, like a lot of the time, and be able to remove it from the person. And so that's actually kind of neat. So rather than yeah, so basically if they lose that 50-50, then I can remove one of their options. And then one becomes their action and the other becomes their outcome. That works a little bit better from a story viewpoint. All right, cool. Yeah, I like how that works out there. So just as a game, I can like immediately begin to play that there. So one of the issues with a game that has like a huge degree of interpretation like that is the perception of fairness. Obviously, like it is not fair. It's just meant to do a story. So I was thinking about giving everybody three options for like either like a redraw or a do-over, or like some way that they can just be like, nah, I want a mulligan on that shit. That's horseshit. But yeah, three options to tempt fate. And then when you use those up, you're fucked. And then we'll probably give them a number of lives equal to these red dudes right there. And probably some fucking mana equal to these blue guys right there. I don't know what green things would be. I don't know, like luck or something. Oh, maybe just those. Just the fucking white stones and mana and lives. I'm going to start off with just working with 3s, but I think we'll change it up. A mock round or 2, not just recorded and live. Yeah, let's just mock it up. Let me draw some new cards on this guy. Alright, and I'm not going to get into the full description thing. Alright, so if we do mutator environment thread, let's see, so who would be... Alright, and so, yeah, I'll probably just take a little hot second there. Alright, so the die is cast. Alright, so you enter into a new chamber. It is a grotto, and everything within is opulent, covered in gold and rubies and so forth. Water is continuously trickling down, draining into a grate at the center, and in the midst of a deep pool, a man, fully nude, is currently reclining, staring at you at the door. As you enter the room, he rises, displaying a sizable manhood. No, we would probably cut the manhood part. Reaching for 2 swords, sitting on the periphery of the room. He advances on you, weapons drawn. Alright, and so then what are the options here? The 2 of cups. The 4 of wands. And who is this character? It looks like the king of wands, although it's difficult to tell who is what in this set right there. So, here, you can pick one of these 2, right or left. Let's just say that you went for right. Oh, so I get to remove one of the options here. Let's see. Let's take the king off of the field. So you can choose to react with the 2 of cups or the 4 of wands. And let's just say that the character chose to react with the 2 of cups. So the swordsman looks, you are not in a mood to take on this very naked and also very skillful appearing swordsman. So as you approach, as the swordsman approaches, you make a plea, putting up your hands and saying, I have no wish to fight with you. Just let me go on my way, and there'll be no need to attack. And then as he attempts to come in for a sidelong swipe at you, you attempt to blast him with magic. All right, so that's the 4 of wands. So we could just say that wands would be red. So if you score, it's a 4 threat. So if you get like a 4 or better on this die, you are successful. You got a 2. You are unsuccessful. Your magic flame flies at the guy, but he is utterly unscathed by your puny attempt. And you are stabbed in the groin, and you lose 1 life before you are able to flee out the chamber. All right, so it'd be something like that. Oh, Lit Up is like, this isn't editing. What the? We did the editing. You're late. You're late as fuck. All right, so that's just like I think I'd do it a little bit more, a little bit more evocative and like less half-assed than that. That's like the basic idea of how we would do a live stream of that. And it's meant to just be like relatively quick. You run out of hit points and so forth, and then you die. But hopefully there's some fun there, like some ability to get treasure and so forth. So we can break this out in the system. Yeah, that's just that's an idea for a live cast. Like actually playing the game, I would see the combat resolution and so forth being a lot more like Dream Quest. And if we put it onto something that can be in an iPad, I can have a feed of the iPad feeding into the thing so that we can just sub out the combat onto the iPad so that it's relatively easy to, what I would say is, what I would probably do is just use the iPad to generate the deck for opponents, right? Because that's the thing. It would be a huge pain in the ass to be constantly assembling decks for opponents because each one has to be a little bit different. But it's not a huge pain in the ass to have the player character's deck. So that's just like sitting right there. So we can deal out their cards onto the bottom of the screen, and then we can have the computer generated opponents right there. And that's a little bit fairer too, seemingly. So cool. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, that's just my idea that I've been kind of working on as like a simplified version of this. I don't think the game needs to be too complicated or whatever. And part of what needs to happen too is, like, you didn't see it here, but like the player is the one who's deciding how they want to interpret some of these cards. Here, hold on. I'm like, the player would determine like what's their course of action. Like what do they want to what do they want to do with the Two of Cups? And if they deviate from like sort of the accepted meaning of the card, it would probably be less effective than if they were going along with the spirit of what the cards. Although I don't really care what they do with the whole thing there. So that's kind of like a cool idea that I have at the moment. But anyhow, I need to eat some more pulled pork, and we'll make a go of this whole thing there. All right, shout out to everybody who took part in this whole endeavor. Penis bump, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Oh wait, I need. So we were at 3 hours here. Hold on, we're not done. We need to get a count. So we spent 3 hours. Shout out to Spathiwa, super instrumental during this whole thing. I like this chapter. I like what we did with this. I think, and it's well placed. Yeah, we're just getting like 1,000 words a day. It's taking forever. What is that? 1116. 3 hours. And then we did chapter 60. Okay. Happy to see you when I'm waking up for once rather than falling asleep. Yeah, good job. Good job. Actually, I have to go to work today. Ugh. Oh, fuck off, Cisco. God, your whole website is awful. Adblock should just block the entire thing. I'm much happier to see our Google search for how to pronounce schizophrenia. All right. I'm out. Penis bump.